In today's video, we're going to be talking about ROH, Death Before Dishonor. We got an announcement to cover. Also, a huge return for AEW. And yes, we got to talk about NWA because they are bringing back some tag team championship belts. I want to get your guys' opinion. As always, timestamps in the description down below. And if you guys like short form content, I am now on TikTok. I created a new account. Yeah, so check it out. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about the NWA United States Tag Team Championship belts because they are set to return at NWA 74. This was sent out hours ago in press release. Obviously, the NWA, now owned by Billy Corgan, trying to make a splash in a highly competitive wrestling world. And this guy just wants to sell the product based on nostalgia. I do not know if this is a good strategy. I feel like if NWA can become a little bit more modernized, maybe people would get more behind it, but it's confusing. Billy Corgan has a very confusing distribution. He has a very confusing product, and I think a lot of people who are interested in NWA, it's typically because they have good booking. But I think everything else is somewhat the issue. Now, with that being said, the new champions will be crowned on night 2 of NWA 74, August 28th, 2022. There's going to be a 10-team battle royale, and this championship belt will be exclusive to NWA USA. Obviously, if you guys don't know, it is airing on Saturdays at noon Eastern on Fight TV and YouTube. So again, I know it could get kind of confusing with the NWA, but what I would say is this is a good choice for AEW, for MLW, for AAA, for a whole bunch of companies outside of NWA. And what I mean by that is these titles are exclusive to NWA USA. However, this is another set of tag team championship belts. And I feel like if you ever have a second set of the same title, similar title, right? Then what I would suggest the NWA does is use this as a way to bring in underutilized talent from other promotions. So, for example, AEW's tag team division is a little bit crowded. Have some of those guys go to NWA and win these championship belts. This could be a really good thing for NWA to start branching out a little bit more, other than the fact that this is a nostalgia product, a nostalgia title belt. You got to do something modern with it, and I think that could be a good way to do so. With that being said, guys, I want to turn our attention to the return of Kenny Omega because according to Fightful, it has been reported that Kenny Omega is nearing a return according to staff and talent on the AEW roster. Now, I thought this was obvious. I thought it was obvious. If you've been watching Being the Elite, if you've been watching Dynamite and Rampage, it has become very apparent to me that AEW right now has been awaiting the return for Kenny Omega and, of course, Adam Cole. And I think the reason mostly for this is because they are teasing the return of Hangman Page and the Young Bucks. Then Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. And then Adam Cole and the Undisputed Elite. And my gosh, I think AEW is about to go ham with storytelling here. It's been very apparent to me that the only reason why Trios belts have not been used is because Kenny Omega hasn't been on TV. And truth be told, this might anger some of you, and if it does, that sucks. But AEW's product, I feel like, took a very big shit when they lost Kenny Omega, when they lost Adam Cole, and when they lost Bryan Danielson, and when they lost CM Punk. They have made it very clear that they are just floating on by until their talent returns, and I think that is an unnecessary way to run the product. I'm not saying AEW is garbage, but what I'm saying is they have made it truly noticeable when their top talent is gone. And guess who else does that? WWE does that as well. I watch WWE, and they don't have Randy Orton. They don't have Roman Reigns on TV every week. When you do not have your top stars on the product and you're just floating on by trying to get by, it tells me that you're lazy and you haven't really thought things through. So with Kenny Omega returning, I look forward to this because I think Kenny Omega is going to be the boost to the product that it absolutely needs, and I'm all for it. Now, with that being said, Kenny Omega returning soon, I think is going to pretty much be hand in hand with the trios titles. I think once Adam Cole comes back, again, we know that Adam Cole is not getting surgery on the torn labrum. He's just dealing with a concussion. I think this is when AEW really starts to pick up, and I think a lot of people will rejoice when they all return. And I think this is great news for AEW, and it's great news for wrestling fans all around the world. All right, guys, ROH Death Before Dishonor. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about this pay-per-view. If you care about ROH and AEW, but we got to talk about Death Before Dishonor because there's something happening here which I think has been poorly received by tons of fans on the internet. And I think this is really 50-50 split. But for those who don't know, ROH put out a press release basically showing people all the ways that they can watch Death Before Dishonor. So, U.S. streaming debut of Ring of Honor on Bleacher Report, available live on the BR app, Bleacher Report website, and connected devices for $39.99. So, in the United States, you'll be able to watch this on all these other platforms, right? However, what's really interesting here is the price point of $39.99. And I think there's a huge issue with this because it's a big announcement for them to be on Bleacher Report because, again, they're joining the Warner Media family, the Warner Bros. Discovery. Like, they're doing this all together, right? However, the biggest problem here that I'm noticing is that $39.99 is a very high price for most fans. Now, I can afford this, and I could pay $39.99 regardless if the card is good or bad. But I think what I'm noticing from people on social media is that $39.99 for a product that doesn't have its own roster, its own TV product, and all this stuff, a lot of people are actually kind of upset by this. This is an announcement that I think a lot of people are kind of bothered because they don't even know what the future is of ROH. And until there is something actually announced for the future of ROH, a lot of people are skeptical to give them their money. Now, with that being said, so far the card looks pretty damn good. Jonathan Gresham versus Claudio Castagnoli for the ROH World Championship match. Samoa Joe versus Jay Lethal for the TV Championship. Yuta versus Garcia for the Pure Championship. FTR versus Briscoes 2 out of 3 falls for the Tag Team Championship. And Mercedes Martinez versus Serena Deeb for the Women's Championship. There is a lot of talk about this pay-per-view and what it's going to be. Now, keep in mind, it actually cost a lot less to get a ticket to the show than it actually cost to buy on pay-per-view. And I think another thing that really does need to be mentioned, what the hell is going on with Honor Club? And that's the real question mark here, because I feel like the biggest issue that AEW, Tony Khan, and ROH have right now is they can do Death Before Dishonor, and they can throw a good pay-per-view, and it'll probably be freaking amazing. Honestly, it'll probably be really good. But at the end of the day, I think the big issue here is what happens next. And it doesn't seem like there's a clear-cut path to the finished product, and I think that's the issue here. I have no problem with the $39.99, but a lot of people do. I have no problem with it because I feel like they're going to deliver. It would be different if I didn't. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below.